I think I am making it public now. So it's live now. So hopefully, yeah, OD class started. Yeah, there is an issue. Hi, very good morning to all of you. I know it is tough in terms of what you call because of the coronavirus. Feel safe. The issue is one second, guy. Little, I don't know. Yeah, I was just saying, stay safe. We can't teach you in the classroom situation, you know that. So we have to do blackboard, but the blackboard again is like, giving a lot of trouble. So I don't know how to deal with that. I'm just trying to log in right now. It is giving me privacy error. I don't know what is there. Yeah, like the class from the 8, I have to make it, but here is not saying. So I don't know. Hope everybody is fine. Yeah, some of you. So just tell the. I mean, this is very open. You're not supposed to be my friend or otherwise. Just have the link and that, and you can watch my lecture. And the lecture is also there after, the class. So let me see what I can teach you today. I have no idea what I have done, so just I have to let me find out the PowerPoint. So what I have done last class. Didn't check your grade as well, guys, so maybe inshallah I will come back to you soon. This has been really, everything is haphazard now, highly, because of things like the exam of compensation as well, like some of you who are in this class, they missed, but anyway, inshallah we'll make it. This is just a matter of a week or two, hopefully, inshallah, and then things will be fine. So yeah, just let me find out your PowerPoint, what I have done last class. I can't remember which chapter I was there. If any one of you can tell me what chapter I have done, I think chapter 5, 6. Let me see what I have done. Chapter 5 we have finished. Understanding the OD process. Yeah, that type. I can't remember. Chapter 5 I was not teaching or what? Chapter 4, the 5 phase of resistance, connection, needing change model. Resistance to change, chapter 6. We have done. Just tell me. We have to start chapter 6. Diagnosis, understanding the order process. Chapter 4 I have not done. Chapter 5 we have done, diagnostic process. Yeah. Chapter 6, resistance to change. I think, believe me, I'm just out of mind. Yeah, I think we have done this chapter. Anyway, we are chapter 6. We are into chapter 6. So chapter 6 is more to do with identifying the resistance to change. If you adopt any change process, it is obvious that you are going to face difficulty. Things are not going to be so smooth. Most of the change because the systemic resistance, people, your structural arrangement, everything. So you are attuned to one kind of a system, and when you go for any change process, so you find, you are having some sort of you can say something which is stopping you coming in front of you. So the good idea there is to understand what are the sources of those resistance. So first, to have an idea in organizational context, to see what actually facilitates a change process, what creates roadblocks in a change process. So if you are, so that's a very simple chapter, this one. So it's saying identify those individuals and organizational context which cause resistance. So this is the whole chapter all about. And once you recognize, then you can identify, you can make your strategy. So that's the very uh, easy thing to do that, because then you can change or you can reinvent yourself. So these are the issue, like, anyway, I'm on chapter 6, so I'm just going through chapter 6 and PowerPoint 3, slide 3, slide 4, change and reinvent. It's talking about all those objective: change and reinvent. Organization need capacity to adapt quickly, focus on most serious challenge. Large scale changes incur significant problem and challenges. Anyway, so these are the how reinventing is important, because most of the organizations are facing major challenge today because of the dynamic environment. So we have to go into understanding, or like I say, what are those changes and all, and then finally organization have to reinvent themselves to find out those or develop those capacity to adopt those changes very quickly. And then people issue or people focus is also very important. Sometimes you go for large changes, so that brings a lot of also, like, problems. uh, let us talk one by one. So let us see at what are the changes at like your book is talking about life cycle of resistance to change. Life cycle, but I have PowerPoint from here. So anyway, we'll go PowerPoint 5. So I'm just explaining. So on personal level, what kind of challenges are there? So if you look at individual level, personal level change and the alteration of pattern of behavior, like the way you work, your work procedure, the kind of skill you possess, and then the way you work, and also it goes on. But once the change is there, then you may need some changes. I mean, in terms of the way you work. So maybe you have to learn new skills. You have to have new job description or work description. So you may be warranted to adopt to those changes. I mean, guys, are you okay? Are you listening me? My voice is okay? Just drop a line. If I don't, drop me message. Seems there are nice guys seeing your attendance here. Great. Drop your ID, that is much better, because if you drop an ID, then I'll be able to see who is watching here. Coming back to the issue here, like I was saying, the changes at personal level. So you see, you look at what kind of changes happening. Like I say, everybody in organizational context, the kind of set of pattern of behavior. So behavior, I mean the way you work, your work related behaviors, interacting with customer, interacting with employees, or with other interface you have, your decision making process and all, how you conduct yourself in terms of managing your emotions, feelings, all these. So these are all personal level happening, right? Your relationship, very important, with your co-worker, your boss, supervisors, and the people working under you, or customer. So these are the whole 360-degree process, right, of relationship. Then changes happen sometime, or most of the time, because of the work procedure changing, work context changing. Nowadays we are talking about job designing, job rotation, and then redesigning. So the skill level also, like, changing. So that's change in skills. The learning process is becoming more important. So these are very important at personal level. Changes at organizational level. is again one of the issue. Blackboard not working, guys. I trying and trying, so I'm wasting time on my time as well. So let us I will just do here. I don't know how good he is, because if you talk yeah. So yes, guy, can you listen me? Yes, doctor, everything is good. Okay, who is this? Rehan? Yeah, Rani. All right, guys. So very important here is to understand those issues, that where if you have to change, what kind of changes are required. The other thing is he's talking about changes at organizational level. So I'm just talking about any change process in any organization, adopt change process. So changes happening at employee level, that is individual level, their personal level. And then second issue is talking about yeah organization level. So organization level, huge changes happen, it happens from strategies, and also that leads to changes in terms of your policies, your work process, procedures, organizational layout, structure, because organization becoming more flat, so it brings changes in structure. Good number of time, business process. So your manufacturing process, if you're a manufacturing company, even service providers, then the way you provide, so that can change. So the whole process, business process or manufacturing process, workflow, how this work is moving. So it all leads to changes in organization in terms of policies, in terms of your procedure, in terms of your structure, in terms of your manufacturing process, in terms of your workflow. I gave you 5 areas. You can add 1 or 2 more, because these changes will lead to changes in organization, right? Any changes happening. So personal level, organization level. Then your book is, in this chapter we'll learn that how changes are being resisted in organization. So as a change expert, little knowledge we are going to develop in this course, the very important is to understand how to deal with the changes, because you have to identify what are your roadblocks. So okay, what is coming on the way. So you have to maximize your strength and minimize those roadblocks. So you have to identify the resistance. So that's what they call it life cycles of resistance to change. And the whole concept is saying that there are going to be resistance in individuals, in group, you understand, and at organizational level. It can be in terms of something, people are not happy, kind of hostility, controversy, conflict. It can be both way. It can be you can face when you're going, you can face that kind of challenges in terms of it can be very explicit, overt, or sometime undercurrent. You will not able to see, but people don't like this, they don't speak, especially in our context you will find. So there is a lot of thing going on, but it is not being visible outside, right? Because of people don't want to comment or don't want, but there are either overt or the language is covert. So there are two kind of resistance happening. So sometime which is coming and you can find out, but sometimes there are things which are covert, which is underneath of the system, and you are not aware what kind of changes are going on. So you have to be very careful in dealing with that. So phase 1, it's talking about here, changes, 5 phases of resistance to change. So the phase 1 is very important, and if you look at the phase 1, talk about when you introduce change, because initially you introduce the change, so there are only when few people who can see the change, and resistance is huge because people cannot appreciate. So maybe CEOs, top manager and all, they bring change and all, and everybody is not aware, so they are not being communicated fully. So sometime you will have you will find people are criticizing. So you can kind of situation where people are the organization are criticized, persecuted, and whatever happening in terms of what you call uh, I mean, people acceptance is not there, right? Because you are just begun the change. Uh, and as your large organization, it becomes. So sometime what happened, the resistance look massive. So sometimes the change program die itself in the first phase itself, because you introduce the change, you see, yeah, nobody, you say, okay, leave it. So this happened. And large organization, you will have more difficulty in bringing about the changes than a smaller organization, because a smaller organization you can manage those levers, but large organization, it is very important. You understand, it is like IBM example, like is saying, the business partner says, a giant pool of peanut butter, you know, pool and all butter, peanut butter means you are slippery and all, and then you have to move through to make your life. So this is a very good example is saying. Anyway, next issue is, so there is the phase one. So you have to be resist, you know, this is going to happen. Any change you are going to bring, people are not going to lap it and say, yeah, welcome. No, nobody. So you understand this change. So you have to sustain. Your idea is there to identify those things and to communicate. That's why when you adopt change in phase one, you communicate and let people know, so that you have less of the resistance. Anyway, phase 2 is the forces you identify. So here is the forces you identified for and against change. So the chapter phase 2 becomes more or less, you know, okay, so change is more discussed. You identified what are the stakeholder or what are the organization member, I mean, who are, I mean, and what is, why they are against. So you can get the idea, right? Say for example, within the organization, if you are bringing any change, so those are the facilitator, and those even either talk from people issues, talk about group, or talk about in terms of, like, you know, different departments, talk about different system and all, where the change will have more impact. So but anyway, phase 2 have, like, you know, that novelty of any change that goes. So people start knowing it, like Vision 2030, when we brought it here, everybody was very skeptical and all, but slowly it will say, yeah, this is the way out, this is going to be there, so people get accepted, right? So any change process is very important to identify it and give your commitment that it is going to be there. Yeah, so that is the phase 2. You have to, that is called phase 2, because it is very important, like what is saying, it will give your change effort life or death, something like, you know. So either you will come out in change 2, or like I say, change step phase 1, it died on, and it's completely moratorium here in phase 2. If so, you have to, here to be successful, you have to put efforts and all. So you have to identify here how you are going to develop greater understanding among the stakeholder, so that they are much aware. Phase 3, then you are going to find phase 3 of resistance. This is the life cycle we are talking about. So it is not an easy that you just do and come, like, you know. In step 3, phase 3, you get, like, you know, the conflict get more crystallized. So like say facilitating and all that force, so that becomes more evident, you understand, because what happened, I mean, in that case, I mean, like, it is directed that, because you are taking and those people, so it becomes more pronounced, I mean, more direct, right, the conflict between forces. So those forces who are facilitating the change and those who are against the change, so they go into what you call direct conflict, and this phase is very, very important. Here you have to, again, like I'm saying, very crucial. If you win this, you are there, otherwise you are gone. Phase 4, if you are able to conquer the phase 3, because in phase 3, like it's saying, I mean, sometimes, like, you know, saying organization who see a change as good and needed often find difficult to believe how far the opposition will go to put up a stop to the change. So they see, yeah, people are resistance is coming, but slowly you see, yeah, things are falling in place. So that is the step, phase 3. Phase 4, so phase 3 is over, you are able to win somehow, but still phase 4, you will find you will find pockets of remaining strain, resistance. Am I right? Like you're saying, there are some resistance which seen as stubborn. Stubborn means is like, what we call something which is not going. Am I right? A kind of thing which is getting stuck, and to remove that, or I mean, there is not living that conflict zone. So in that case, you have to be ready to for that phase, because you have to know that you are going to have this stage. So it is not all 100% are going to go with your any change process. You'll find always corner of in any, either you talk about national level or organizational level or anything. There are people who start slowly, people will or say the system, I mean, people, organization, and all system falling in place. So it is not individual, I'm talking like as a person, rather than we are talking organization here. So organization, you talk about, there are a lot of systemic resistance because the system has been made in a different way earlier. So but then individual interests, then we work in department, committees, groups, blah blah, all this. So even those together, how do they work? It will have impact on their process, right? So you, after winning all those, in phase 4 still you find some pockets of those resistance. So you have to here be very clear, am I right? So you have to, but you are still, you have shifted the balance of power. Those people can give you tough time. So though you have enough support to change the balance of power, because it is in favor of you, you are able to swim it through it, but still you have not reached the goal. So don't take it easy. You have to identify those resistance and then reach out to them and to manage, like, how you are going to conduct. Next issue is like here is in phase 4, very important is sometime a good number of time in organization, what happened in phase 4, like, situation happen, like sometimes you have to use wisdom as a change manager expert. So you have to use wisdom in terms of winning those stakeholder. So number one is like, you never underestimate them, you understand. So wisdom is necessary to deal in phase 4. I'm on PowerPoint slide number 10. Okay guys, don't get confused. So yeah, so here is I mean, like you're saying, stubborn and nuisance, yeah. So there is a, here you use, and then those sizable element and all, you try to corner them and win over them. So you have to use those resistors who is resisting to win over, so that once they cross the line, they are with you, your job is done. But you don't take it easy, am I right? And it is not enmity or something, but it is more about tactically that you identify these are, so what to do, that how to convince them, how to win, how to reach out to them, you understand. So the whole idea is, in organization you are bringing change for the good of the organization, for all stakeholders. So it is good for employees, so you have to communicate that you are not doing something wrong or enmity towards anybody, am I right? So it is a kind of thing you are pursuing, which is good. So any change program has to keep in mind to communicate that message very clearly and identifying those roadblocks and saying. So once you are in phase 4, you identify those little pocket of resistance and reaching out regularly to them. Don't think, okay, I arrived there. Never. Like sometime you happen like, I have done, yeah, I'm reaching. No, at that time you slump and lose. So very important is what we call in team announcing victory too soon. You see many team winning matches. Look at any game, football, cricket. You to watch matches, right? Any match you see. Some of the team last 5 minutes they have been winning and they lose the match within the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes. The other team come and they put 2 goals. Right? So you are saying, yeah, 1-0 I'm winning. Or even many I've seen, like, you have 2-3 and all, and within that in 5 minutes, I don't know, it goes, and then you go in extra time, and then another part win. I have seen many matches like this in all sort of game. Football, I enjoy cricket. I have seen in cricket as well. So the team looks losing, and you think, yeah, I am winning, right? So you are a little concerned. So you have to focus on your win. You have to, those resistance and those pocket you have to minimize, and you have to win over. Anyway, again, very important from management change expertise, identifying those facilitating process, right, forces. Uh, Here, once phase 5 is come, so that is something, here is very little. So here, very few are left who are alienated and all, who is change. Like in first phase, there was very little. Similarly, very few left here in the phase 5. So more or less you are arrived, but at the same time, this phase also to win over them and stabilize your system. So these are just giving you basic idea that what kind of change happening, right? Happening. So every company which goes through, they have this kind of change process. Yeah, that depends on the kind of change they are having, they are bringing. The other issue is talking about what kind of major change affect, success of change. So because any change process, if you look at leading change, it brings he's saying advocates of change. So you have to, any change program, like of course CEO or head of the organization is the key person, but must have a change program. You must have sort of, you can say, key people who are involved with you. So that's why I'm saying very important is, and you must have somebody as expert who can provide you that kind of blueprint in terms of adopting that change process or change project, what is saying. So those are advocate of change. So OD practitioner may be brought in to assist as well. Like if you go to the PowerPoint slide number 14, then any change process, like it we talk about resistance that differ in terms of degree. So what kind of change you are bringing? Sometimes you are restructuring the whole company. Sometimes you are just changing maybe little way you produce. You are going more for mechanization and automation of machines or something. The production process may not have huge impact. In some cases, it may be huge impact. So degree of change can be minor or smaller or bigger. Right? That's why I'm saying minor or major. Like in the beginning I said, if minor the change, it is easy to change, but if it is major change, it is difficult to implement. Third issue is time frame in change process. So time frame is talking about when change program is to be implemented. It is third factor. So first is who is bringing change, like I say, advocates. Who are the people who are pushing the change? If it is coming from the top with the clear direction, then it will prevail. Second thing, degree of change. Is a small change or big change? So you estimate the kind of roadblock or kind of resistance if it is big change, because small change maybe will be able to make it, people will make adjustment, but if it is totally changing the system, then it will be difficult. Like we have changed, coronavirus, we are having, I'm teaching you through online. So maybe you'll say, yeah, who is going to all these do? But you see, no, it is good. So once you see, so fine, as a student also, some of you may resist. Some of you say, yeah, this is the classroom situation better. But here in a situation what is good, you have to think out. So that's the advocates, how far, then degree of change, and then time frame. So that is also very important, time frame, right? If several months or later, it will be sufficient, long time frame or shorter time frame and all. So if it is a smaller change, maybe, yeah. If change is gradual, long time, not fast, you are bringing any change, something very fast, then an issue. So if it is, you have, if the any change process, if is gradual, gradual process, and based on longer time perspective, then you have more chances of success. Some of them they bring change very out of blue, introduce like your book is saying swiftly, and they go on very radical change. So here you are going to have like what you call tough time, because most important issue is let people be aware, let people be ready, equip them, because any change must be died on, I mean to their level and all. So that's very important time frame. Not rushing in any change process is the best way. Rather than you prepare yourself, communicate to them and all. Impact on culture. Fourth, so the first we talk about few issue here: advocate of change in a change process, resistance. We talk about degree of change, small or big, time frame. You are saying shorter or longer time frame. Impact on culture, very important. The way people work. If it is a big impact, greater impact, you are going to have greater resistance and more difficult to implement a change. So you have to evaluate what is going to be impact on culture. So you have to design, I mean to measure the degree of change and impact on organization, how it is going to develop your own performance. So slowly, if you are going to have huge impact on culture and all, because most of the time the culture, like where there is strong culture, values are more strongly adhered to. Some organizations are very strong culture based organization. So that is it. Now, based on these, there are some change model. So your book is talking about some change model. You understand? Anyway, so we understood 5 issues which are important. Let me remind you, if you look at your book, figure 6.1 is talking about success of change depends on, we talk about advocates of change, degree of change, time frame, impact of culture, and evaluation of change. So you have to evaluate the change process, how much is going to be impact on your culture. So these are the 5 factors which make any change process successful. Anyway, is suggesting, your book is suggesting, here we are talking about a change model. What is change model? Change model is, say for example, if you look at your PowerPoint, there are 2 things you consider any change you are bringing. So first thing you keep in mind, either your change is big or small. So you on the rate on 1 to 10 or something, so like a minor or major change. And the second issue you put into mind is resistance, in terms of depends on impact on culture. So first thing is either degree of change, you understand, degree of change, and another axis you can say it is impact on culture. So some of the change have big impact, some of the change have, any change program have less impact. So here you have to see, based on these, it gives you 4 model of change. You understand? So first model, like say for example, says, first is where you have minor change, degree of change, and low resistance. So you have high success of chance to succeed in that case. Where you are going to have high resistance, degree of change is high, because people are going to resist the change. There is a degree of change, you want big change, high degree, major change, and then the resistance is less. You understand? So that will be some resistance in box number 3. It is moderate. Similarly, if you have high resistance but the change is small, degree of change is less, so that is second box. If you go up slide 20, then you find there are moderate chance of success. You understand? And the fourth one, that is I want to show you that how you have to adopt, is where you have major changes and resistance is very high. That is high resistance. So that box, then you have the chances of success low. So you have to be very careful. So if you look at this model based on degree of change and impact of culture, gives you three kind of situation. One situation is where the success is, sorry, where chances of success is more, there is low resistance. So for example, you have so low resistance and change is also not very high, minor changes, you will be successful. But if you look high resistance and high changes, major changes, you have low chances of success. And whereas in between these two are we call moderate chances of success. So these are three situations. You have high chances of success, you have moderate chances of success, you have low chances of success. So depending on your changes, degree of changes, and your culture, you are being presented with three kind of situations. So you have to then manage. So if you are in a situation like where you have low chances of success because of high resistance and major changes, then you have to be careful and you have to manage yourself in a different way. Like here he's talking about quadrant 1. I already explained to you. Slide 22. Slide 23 is talking about change model. Major changes, high impact. So he's saying good management can probably overcome resistance. Similarly, change 2, like moderate, some resistance can be accepted. Change model 4, which I was saying, is the major change, high impact on culture. So here probability of success is very low. So if you are having a lot of resistance and you are going for change, big change, what will happen? You have to be really tough time, and chances of success is low. I'm not saying chances of success is zero, but probability is low. So how you manage that? So that's why any change process must be gradual, number one. And sometimes you don't have a choices, you understand, and you don't wait for. So that's why the cultural thing, tuning is required. So you keep moving or keep communicating to your people and developing your system, so that if you go for any kind of change, you're saying. Then we talk about here, very important issue is, very important theory we are talking about. Two important things: resistance of changes. What resistance providing you? So there are always driving forces. Any changes, why changes come? Because changes are good for the company, right? So always they will say either it is happening because, say for example, like Vision 2030 in national level, Saudi Arabia we go. So why we have this? You understand? Because we don't have a choice. What's our driving force? Your economic environment, right? So that was international situation. So these are the driving forces, like the economic situation, the business environment, and situation like this, that is making things tight for you, and then you don't have a choice. You have to adopt those Vision 2030. So driving force, you have to identify what force is like now Vision 2030 we talk about, not talk about the organization, either you talk about any Wizara or you talk about any organization, government organization like STC, Saudi Airline or anything. So they are the driving forces from the government, am I right? So anything which is increasing organization to place, so the support of the government. So that is the driving force in most of these organizations I talking about. Either you talk about Saudi Airline or Saudi Telecom Company or Saudi Electricity, they have gone through all these, am I right? So these are the driving forces because they are helping organization, those forces, for change. Why these driving forces works? Because they are not happy with the present situation. And sometimes there's external pressures toward change. I say business, economic, political, it can be any, am I right? Qualitative in terms of product itself, like you understand, competitive environment forcing you to change. It can be as well. It happens most of the time. Then third is talking about momentum toward change. So momentum toward change, like change takes its space, initially. So that is also becomes a force. So dissatisfaction, pressure, momentum, how is the speed, and fourth is talking about motivation by management, how far management is really pushing it and motivated. So these are the very important. Yeah. Like driving forces we already talked about, like market condition, new technology, new legal requirement, new economic environment. These are externally, right? New method of production being more. So this is talk about external pressure. Momentum, like I say, once it goes, it gets. So it's talking about. So those involved become more committed to the change. So this is the momentum. And money already you have spent on change provides you motivation, because you already put your stake, you put already, and very difficult to roll back. You understand? And like in any organization, bring change, so it will trigger changes across organization. So that is also a reality, like happening in the organization here as well. You see the change adopted, so you have to go for changes, larger changes, right? So slowly you get changes happening, right? The other issue is we are talking about like driving, yeah, motivation by management, like we just say. So top management encouragement and all support is very important. Let us talk about, so these are the 4-5 issues which we talk about is driving force. You understand? I'm just now we are going to discuss. So these, there are driving forces, right, which is making your change to happen. Then there are restraining force, which stops you, because this you are trying, but there you will find, yeah, these are the roadblocks. They are blocking your change. So here your book is talking about categorizing. There can be many. If you find book to book, you'll find, but we are categorizing here, putting them into 5 major category. You understand? If my paper, if you refer, I have put there since 8 or 9 reason why changes, like adopted, and also you will connect to that description as well. But let us look at what forces you to block changes and what are the restraining forces, so you can minimize this. Number one, we are talking about restraining uncertainty. You understand? We are talking about nine forces. So let us one by one restraining forces we talk about. So here is uncertainty regarding change. So any change you are adopting, people are not happy, you don't know what will happen. So there is a degree of uncertainty, how it is going to unfold, what will happen. So if you bring any change, people have this kind of either, and that leads to also fear of unknown. So uncertainty. Second is talking about here, we are talking about fear of unknown, because any change process, you don't know how things will unfold, and it will work for you as an individual, as an organizational head, or a supervisor, or as a manager, or as an employee, associate, or being a department. If you evaluate what is your, or a group, a committee, or any situation and all. So you see, what will happen, how my performance or my outcome is going to be evaluated, will it have impact on my smooth functioning and all. So you have, third thing is related with that, which I am saying is smooth disruption of routine. So you see, if there is a change, like the way you are organized, so you have certain routine of function, right, in terms of your organization, how you function. So if any change happening, how it is going to disrupt you. So disruption. So most of the time we are concerned for disruption also. Sometimes we say we may lose some benefits. You understand? Every, as an individual, as a stakeholder, so you see, I will lose benefit. This is the most of the individual, like, mafi faida, right? If I'm getting all these, either in terms of your benefit of power, benefit of your salaries, perks, whatever. It is not only benefit you get in terms of, say for example, monetary. It is non-financial benefits. There are many. I'm right. Sometimes there are things which are intangible kind of benefits, right? Or sometimes the vested uh, powers in your position and all. So maybe threat of security. Sometimes say, yeah, I may lose my job or my, like I say, power I may lose. So threat of to security, threat of position power related to that, that you will lose certain degree of you can say, yeah. And the other thing is, you say, yeah, redistribution of power. So maybe you think, yeah, my power will get redistributed, and it disturb your existing network, social network, or new way of working will emerge. So I mean, this is also one of the reason. So yeah, these are, like you're saying, block forces, am I right? So most of the time you will find, yeah, any change program, like a good effective change program is talking about how you drive those forces in such a way so that you can cut down those restraining forces. You understand? So like those driving forces we talk about, so some of the force we talk about, like top management, the advocate of change, they are reaching out, they are explaining, remember we talk about, and then commitment of top management and all, and support system, you understand, all these are driving forces, all right? So those driving forces is like, how far is say helping you, like those changes happening, like those pressures, momentum and motivation, right? These are four factors we talk about. So how they are, those driving forces are dealing with those restraining, they come face to face and all, and they work on each other. So they have to win over those resistance, all right? So this is happening. So if you look at, I mean, driving forces, so there is a concept called, we call here, how to look at those driving and restraining forces. We call it force field analysis. This is called force field analysis. So you analyze force field, yeah, driving forces and all, external pressure for change, yeah, motivation by management, loss of benefit, threat to security, threat to position power, redistribution of power. You will see, your existing social network, you will lose your way of working, norms, or the way culture and all. It can be the way your language, dresses, your pattern of behavior, your value system, feelings, the way you carry your attitude. Maybe like, yeah, we will have less time to talk, or you have to be more active, you have to be more proactive. You understand? I mean, I'm just giving example, but I mean, these are the things which are larger. So that is the diagnostic model we have to see. Then how to, there are certain strategies that how to increase, how to cut down the resistance. You understand? So to cut down the resistance is very important. You have to create increase motivation, education, and motivation is key issue. You understand? How we can, so you create more climate conducive for change. So create a kind of environment, let your vision more clearly get articulated. You have very effective communication process. Your manager must show leadership quality, reaching out to the people and all. So these are a strategy how you can increase motivation of your stakeholder, employees, and those who are your stakeholder. So that's the very important, creating right kind of climate. Your vision must be articulate, what kind of bring change you are doing. So you should be very clearly saying how is good for everybody. You must communicate effectively to them, and you must have a good team of managers who will able to get that. how you involve people is very important. So participation of members, stakeholder are very important. How you redistribute, so your reward system is very important. You understand? Reward system is very, very important. You understand? And next is talking about how you negotiate and yeah, agreement and politics. So these are also very important, negotiation, because sometimes resistance is, you are going to have some, so those resistors you negotiate, especially where you have unions and all such people, like so giving them some benefits in exchange of early retirement if you want to transferring employee to from one division to other. So you need, I mean, sometimes you have to have those kind of agreement and politics happening at the, you understand, this happens. So these are the issue which are important. Yeah, power strategy is part of that. Power strategy is again is though not good, it is antithetical to the OD values, because it is more, but low key, it should be non-threatening, um, like some of the places and all being used. So how you can manage and all, like like he's giving example on page, I have sent you the book. If you look at the page 170, it's giving example of US military, how they have used this power strategy. For more than a year, an OD practitioner group had been seeking a unit to participate in OD program. A unit was finally obtained. Once the program was in progress, it was decided to arrange a visit by the branch chief of operation to communicate his personal appreciation for the unit. The visit served a dual purpose. It built a high degree of enthusiasm with the unit of remaining phase of the OD program. So it is what exactly is, like how to convince people and those who are into powerful position, reaching out to them. So that is the power strategy. It means to say, yeah, we also use here as well, like in terms of reaching out, how the top management and those who can influence those resistance. All right. So we are done. This is the application of paper. So we are through. Yeah, is one of the case here is done. So that case is talking about how 5 phases of resistance to change in that case happen. Change tend to move through a life cycle. Then it's talking about how change was introduced. The case in your book is talking about, so how they identified the movement started in 1970s and then 80s they identified. Then direct conflict when the act came in 1990s. So this is just case. And residual resistance is reviewing how opposing group continued to have. So if you read the case, you can see, yeah, you can relate all these phases. You understand? And phase 5, change was established. The other is world of business. There is another case. Anyway, so we are done with the chapter. This is the case. Yeah. These are some keywords he's talking here. Profit chain is training forces. Same thing. OD skills. This is again the case. Yeah. So we have gone through the chapter. We are done. Let me just. So the most important thing we gone through learning here about driving forces for change and then restraining forces. So we have understood degree of change, overcoming resistance to change. So overcoming resistance to change, you must understand how to reinvent organization, right? So you have to understand change at personal level and organizational level. So change happen at 2 places. And then we understood life cycle of changes. So any change you introduce, you're going to have resistance. So you have phase 1, you are just new, you so go through change. Phase 2, very important. Here you have get more crystallized, so forces get identified, who are for you, who are against you, understand? So your change more thoroughly understood also, and your change is not novelty of that change, like newness that getting disappear. People are aware, so this is very important. Phase 3, here you come in direct conflict and between driving forces and restraining forces. And then you have we talk about life cycle we talk about, and we talk about leading changes and all, right? What are affecting success of change? So we talk about 5 issues: advocates of change, degree of change, time frame, it is long time or short time frame, its impact on culture, how it is big or small, and then we come out with change factor, all 5 factors. Then we talk about advocates of change, degree change and all, like all these 5 factors in details. And then we talk about 2 major consideration in a change model. We talk about 4 quadrant of change model here. So what to do: low resistance, moderate resistance, and high resistance. These are quadrant 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then you have to understand driving force towards acceptance of change. So what are the driving force, especially in organization? We talk about 4 important issues which work as a driving force. First is your dissatisfaction with the present situation, that is with your present situations, either is a motivation of the employee, or being average is not good enough, or your stockholder, the owners demand change, your product is not good enough, or services not good enough. External pressure, like we talk about organizational condition, market condition, technology changing, legal requirement, economic environment, business environment, global situation, like forcing you, especially in our very controlled economy. We have very dynamic business environment happening and forcing organization to change. There is a lot of legal regulation happen. So private sector or government sector, they have to change them, right? Because we diversified and there was a lot of benefit which was being curtailed. So these are, so we have to momentum toward change. This again third part. And motivation by change, how far the top management and all, they are really rotting for the change and how serious they are. Then restraining forces, we talk about 9 restraining forces: uncertainty regarding change, fear of unknown, disruption of routine, loss of benefits, threat to security, threat to power, position power, redistribution of power happening, social network arrangement gets disturbed, and the way you work, your norms and work practices or culture which exists, that gets little change, and also the conformity to the existing value gets affected. So these issues are very important. Anyway, so we understood in this chapter, we are done. Chapter 6. Inshallah, we'll come back to chapter 7. Okay, guys, if you hope you will enjoy and all, have good time. Hopefully, if we share the mid 1 grade. I'm not through. Yes, Muhammad, nice comment. Inshallah, hopefully this week you will be here, because last week Thursday, Friday I was teaching masters executive program, so I was really busy and all, teaching them long. And, hopefully this weekend I will have a more cooler time. So now I can, inshallah, you will get. Alright, so I'm signing it off. Have a good time. See you. I'm going to end this live video. Catch you then, inshallah, next class. Be here. Thank you. Take care.